Tales from the Odyssey. Book 3, Chapter 3, Song of the Sirens. Odysseus was eager to set sail. As he hurried back to the shore, Circe's words echoed in his ears. "Your path will be dangerous indeed, but if you do as I say, you will find your way home." Odysseus boarded his ship and commanded his men to cast off at once. The Greeks stumbled from their sleep and took their places at the oars of the black vessel. As Odysseus was about to raise anchor, Circe's handmaidens appeared on the beach. They carried food and wine for the voyage. The men happily loaded their gifts onto the ship. Then they bade farewell to the fair maidens and pushed off from the shore. As the ship sailed away from land, Odysseus stared wistfully at the island of the mysterious enchantress. For the past 12 months, Circe had controlled his fate. She had changed his men into swine and back again. She had sent him on an unfathomable journey into the land of the dead. She had armed him with prophecies and warnings for his dangerous voyage home. Even now he could feel her presence as gentle breezes carried his ship across the waves. As his ship sailed onto the open sea, Odysseus thought of Circe's warnings and the dangers he and his men would soon face. "It is not fair," he thought, "that I should know what horrors await us while my men know nothing." Odysseus stood up and called for his crew to listen. "Friends," he said, "Circe has told me much about the journey ahead. Now you shall hear her warnings as well. We will soon approach the island of the Sirens. The Sirens are beautiful women who sing from a field of flowers near the sea." The men laughed, certain that they had nothing to fear from lovely singers. "Take heed," said Odysseus. "Circe has warned me that any man who hears the song of the Sirens will drown himself trying to get to them. You must plug your ears so that you cannot hear the enchanting song. I alone may listen, but only if you bind my hands and feet so tightly to the mast of the ship that I cannot break loose. If I beg you to set me free, you must bind me tighter still." As Odysseus spoke, the wind picked up, filling the sail and carrying the black ship faster and faster across the waves. Then just as suddenly, the wind ceased. The water grew ominously still. The men looked about with fear. "Where is the breeze?" one whispered. "There is not a ripple on the waves," said another. "What has become of the wind?" "We must be nearing the island of the Sirens," Odysseus said. "Quick, let down the sail and stow it away. Be silent, be swift." The men did as Odysseus commanded. They lowered the sail and stowed it in the hold. Then they picked up their oars and rowed silently through the eerie, still waters. While the men rowed, Odysseus grabbed a wheel of beeswax. He held the wax in the sun until it was soft, then cut it into many small pieces. He molded the pieces with his fingers, then handed 2 to each man. "Use these to keep the song of the Sirens from reaching your ears," he said, "and then you must bind me to the mast." The men sealed their ears with wax. Then they took long cords of rope and tied Odysseus to the mast of the ship. They tied the knot so tightly that no man could loosen them. The Greeks then picked up their oars again and began to row. As the black ship moved closer to the island, Odysseus began to hear singing waft through the mist. The sound was more beautiful than he had ever imagined. High, sweet, and lilting, the words of the Sirens floated on the soft wind. "Hearken, brave Odysseus! Listen to us now. No one can pass our island without staying to hear our song. He who listens will be all the wiser. He who listens will discover the secrets of the gods." The ship sailed closer and closer to the shore. Through the mist beyond the still waters, Odysseus saw 2 lovely women in a flowery meadow. To his amazement, he saw that the women had wings like birds. Their feathers were translucent in the early morning light. Odysseus felt an unbearable longing to be with the beautiful creatures. He yearned to spend the rest of his life with them. As his ship drew closer, Odysseus saw heaps of bleached bones around the bird women. He saw the rotten skin of decaying bodies. He knew he was looking at the remains of sailors who had been enchanted by the sirens. But even such a ghastly sight did not keep Odysseus from yearning to throw himself into the sea and swim to the island. As the sirens sang their sweet song over and over, Odysseus nearly went mad. He twisted and turned, trying to break free from his bonds. His men quickened their rowing. 2 of them bound Odysseus with more ropes. They rowed faster and faster over the still waters. As they rowed, the song of the sirens grew fainter. Odysseus strained to hear the lovely singing as it faded away in the distance. His heart was filled with grief as it grew softer and softer, until finally it was gone and all was silent again. Suddenly the wind picked up. Waves rippled and rolled. Seagulls swooped and cawed. Odysseus's grief turned to joy. He began to laugh. He was safe. His men were safe. The song of the sirens was behind them, and they were all safe and well. All right, until tomorrow.